YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Less than a week until the NFL draft. A lot of rumors, a lot of buzz coming out, and I had to update a mock draft. There's going to be at least one more after this, trying to get Pigskin Pete getting his mock draft done for the channel as well. But yeah, a lot of buzz, a lot of rumors, some trades that I feel confident about. We're going to take a look at this scenario. Very interesting stuff here. Right before we get started, we have a whole bunch of content on the channel, a lot more still to come, even though we're less than a week away. April 23rd is when the draft starts, day one. We're going to be live right here on YouTube with reactions, predictions, covering the first round of the draft entirely. And 50K, that's our subscriber goal here at the Goat House and the Goat House Plus. Please subscribe to both. We'd really appreciate it. And follow that Twitter. That is an absolute must follow if you're an NFL fan, NFL draft fan, or a Goat House fan. Make a Twitter if you don't have one. You're going to need to, especially for the later rounds in the draft. Instant reactions to those on Twitter. And then we have a podcast. 7 episodes out, Spotify and Apple. Links down below in the comments and description of every video for any link that you need to connect with us. To the mock drafts, you'll see a couple trades, and I'll break those down with detail when we get to that pick. Bengals, Joe Burrow. I don't need to go any further in that. That should be the pick. That's what the pick will be. Redskins, pick 2. Chase Young, pretty much the same thing. Every time I mock, do a mock, I have Chase Young to the Redskins, but I always mention that watch out for the Redskins kind of being sneaky, maybe a trade back and targeting a left tackle to replace Trent Williams, or maybe Isaiah Simmons. Rivera may like Simmons, but I am sticking with Chase Young for predicting the pick here. I do have the Chargers trading with the Lions, 3 to 6, and I do have Justin Herbert going to the Chargers, which if I'm in there in LA in the front office, I'm not picking him at 5. But I do think, from the buzz we've been hearing, that's kind of how this mock was made here. And I'm not believing everything, but I do think Herbert is their choice over Tua, and they'll be a little worried that the Dolphins may be interested. So kind of backtrack a little bit. Lions, they want to trade back because they think they can still get their target and gain picks. Who wouldn't want to trade back in that scenario? But the Giants are in the same boat. But why I only have one of them trading is I don't think both trade back because neither want to go back too far. And how many teams want to give up what they have to give up to get to 3 or 4? Not many. It sounds like it's, this whole offseason, it's Dolphins versus Chargers, battle to trade up, and now it's, maybe the same teams, but then also Lions versus Giants, battle to trade back, but there's not too many opportunities here to do so. So I think on draft day, one out of the Lions and the Giants will trade back, with their first-round picks here, 3 and 4, one of them, and then one of the Dolphins with 5 or the Chargers with 6 will trade up. That's how I'm feeling right now. So who won that battle? The Chargers won the trade-up battle. The Lions won the trade-back battle, and that is the swap, Justin Herbert to the Chargers, and we see the trade details. 3-6 swap, obviously, and then the Lions also get a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick. Again, I would not be happy with the Chargers. They did this. Herbert's got a ways to go, but that's their type of quarterback. They're not going to go from Phillip Rivers to Tagovailoa, who's also has the injury concern in most teams' mind. They want to kind of build up Herbert. They like the potential of him, and I understand liking the upside of Justin Herbert, but there's a ways to go, and I don't know if he's worth that many picks there. But the Chargers will be interested, but I'm kind of back and forth on. Will they believe they can? You got Tyrod Taylor and you got Cam Newton kind of sitting there in free agency. Can they get the tackle, or can they get Isaiah Simmons? And then kind of use that free agent quarterback or Tyrod Taylor to win now. That's the route they should take, and they could think that. But this is what we're kind of hearing, and it's believable right now. A lot of things I don't believe, obviously, around this time. Then the Giants go Jedrick Wills. There's rumors they want to trade back because they probably can move back and still get Wills. It's very risky, though. I do think he is easily the best tackle in the class. Mekhi Becton is another option for the Giants here, and because I think he has the best upside in the class, and the Giants are an upside team. They can be sneaky good this year, but they ain't going to win a Super Bowl right now. Let's be honest here. They can be sneaky good. They're not going to win a Super Bowl. They're all about the upside. But at the end of the day, Wills is the best tackle in the class, and he has upside as well. Wild card could be Wirfs or Simmons. A lot of people saying Simmons, and it is hard to pass on a guy like Simmons there because he's great talent, number 3 overall player in the draft. I think they're just focused on getting that tackle They're not expecting to be picking this high, and they got an opportunity to get a prime, tackle here to improve their run game first, which will open the pass game, and he also helps in the pass game. So I think they'll be more interested in Wills. But Simmons is a great player, but how good does he fit? I think he fits a 4-3 team a little better. And then, maybe a little surprising here, the Dolphins pass on Tua because the injuries and the lack of medical checks, because the quarantine, are scaring the absolute you-know-what out of people here, including the Dolphins. They really like the idea of Tua. I still think they like Tua ahead of Herbert. The Chargers traded ahead of the Dolphins because they're worried, but I still think if the Dolphins, you made them choose Tua and Herbert, I still think it's Tua. But I think it's too early. Number one, it's too early to take a guy with the injury concern. It's, on top of this other really good talent that you can't pass on top of you have 3 draft picks to make some moves or possibly still get the guys you want in the correct spot. Isaiah Simmons, it's got Brian Flores written all over him. They're going to run a interesting defense. It's a similar defense than what the Patriots ran, what Brian Flores ran with the Patriots. Van Noy is kind of going to be that hybrid pass rusher on one side. And the other side will most likely be Shaq Lawson, but who is a defensive lineman. He's not going to be off the ball like Kyle Van Noy. So having Simmons right outside of Shaq Lawson is very ideal because Simmons could, be a rusher here and there, but mainly he's going to help the, cover the edge over there for what is a D lineman, unlike the other side with Kyle Van Noy. So it makes sense to me. It's an all-around beast of a linebacker, will help you in every single phase. It's a guy that can be used, to the best of his abilities in that Brian Flores defense. So the Dolphins take Isaiah Simmons there at 5. The Lions traded back. They took Jeff Okudah, the corner from Ohio State. I'm not maybe as high on Okudah as everybody else. A lot of people have him top 5, top 3 on their board. That's way too high for me, but I do like him. He is the best corner in the class. It doesn't feel like the Lions get a whole bunch better, adding him. They lost Slayer, they added Okudah. Meanwhile, these 5 teams ahead of them, got a lot better this offseason. But you still get a great corner. And you moved back and got the picks. So that's the great thing here for the Lions. So they still get their guy while moving back. The Panthers, this is where it becomes interesting. A lot of people are mocking Derek Brown of the Panthers here, and I stuck with that. I've had that for a bit. I've stuck with it. He's a dominant defensive lineman. I mean, Joe Brady saw him when LSU played Auburn. This guy is absolutely dominant, and they need D-line help. He can play all across the D-line, instant impact in the run game, and a force in the pass game as well. But why it's interesting, you start to hear a guy like C.J. Henderson, the Florida corner, is supposed to go in the top 10, and people trying to pick teams. Who's going to get C.J. Henderson? Is it the Jags, the Falcons? What about the Panthers? They're really thin on corner. They may be interested in the physical corner there. But I went with Derek Brown as my predicted pick right now. And now we have another trade. This was originally the Cardinals' pick. The Falcons move up. We're hearing all kinds of rumors, buzz that the Falcons, legit, they want to trade up. Everyone, about half the crowd, C.J. Henderson. Half the people, Javon Kinlaw. I think I'm seeing more C.J. Henderson. I'm thinking Kinlaw. Why? The better prospect, number 1. Number 2, Falcons defense, it's going to change a little bit. They add Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler, unproven in the 4-3, proven and playing at a high level to 3-4. I think we're going to see a little more of a 3-4 switch here, which the rest of their players could adjust to. But you do need more D-line help. You got Grady Jarrett, but you need more of that 3-4 end, which I think they'll like Javon Kinlaw, and there's a pretty big gap after a guy like Kinlaw. So I think they're a team that's going to have Kinlaw higher than Derek Brown perhaps on their board. Brown's gone anyway, so they're going to need this guy. This is a guy that the talent, the upside is worth going up to get, and in their mind, it's an absolute need here. Why they pass on C.J. Henderson, why people think C.J. Henderson because they need a corner, but why I don't think so. I mean, I do think they need a corner, but, Kinlaw is an upside guy, but he's also going to make a huge impact right now. But Henderson, to me, the reason why people like him so much is the upside and, some of the uncoachable traits he has. The rest they can coach, but I don't think he's going to be ready to make a giant impact right away. So that's really not going to improve them that much. They'll be more interested in Kinlaw. And then we can see the trade details. Apologize for the wait on that. The Falcons get the 8th overall pick. The Cardinals move back 8 spots. They move back to 16 and gain that second-round pick that they do not have anymore because of the DeAndre Hopkins trade. So they gain that back, and they still have their first-rounder, of course, and they can still possibly get their target. So not too much loss for the Falcons there. They get the player they need that fits, that helps adjust their defense the way they want to. So it's a win-win for both teams here. So we'll see the Cardinals pick here in just a moment, and some more trades actually. So there is C.J. Henderson. A lot of hype about him going in the top 10. I don't think he should go top 10. He's a little bit of a project, but I can see the upside. But I do believe. I believe that it's true that some teams will be interested in him. Some teams have him as cornerback 1, so the Jags take him at 9. They get their cornerback back, I guess, losing a couple of their guys over the last year, I guess. So the corner from Florida ends up going 9. So now we see the Dolphins come up to 10. Rumors that the Dolphins may pass on Tua with their first pick, which is the 5th pick, have that happening. And then there's a lot of buzz about the Browns moving back. They're targeting a certain tackle that they can move back for. That one I'm kind of back and forth on because, I can see the fit of the guy they're targeting, but I don't think they would just give it away. But I do think they've had calls on trading back with multiple teams, so that's why I had it happening. And then the Dolphins come back up, and they still get the quarterback they like. Tua Tagovailoa, they get him in a little safer spot here because of the injury. He drops back a little bit, and they kind of worry about the Raiders at 12. But you got to remember they also worry about other teams coming up because Tua's lasting a little too long now. Now it's time you take him because he's a top tier talent here. So the Dolphins move up, the Browns move back. Which pick did the Dolphins trade? And this would be, what the Browns would be more interested in, moving back to their later first-round pick, 26th, for their targets, and gaining a first-round pick, which the Dolphins actually have 2 first-round picks next year, but moving all the way back to 26 would most likely mean they get the Dolphins' first-round pick, and that would be not the Texans, so that's what the Browns would be more interested in. So risky for the Dolphins, but they can turn this franchise around right now, but the main thing is they still hang on to their other first-round pick, which is not far behind here for where we're at. So that is big time for the Dolphins, but the Browns also can possibly get their target and gain a first-round pick next year for this new staff that just came in there. And then we go back to see we've got Tua to the Dolphins. So far they got Isaiah Simmons and Tua, some big time playmakers there for their new their fresh team. It feels like based on free agency and the draft. The Eagles, a lot of buzz about the Eagles trading up. The problem with that is, I thought about Eagles with the Browns. That's actually a possibility. The Dolphins will be itching to get up though. But then the Eagles trade up with the Jets, and I'm kind of back and forth. The Jets could be, we know it's obvious they could be interested in a receiver and offensive lineman here. There's actually some buzz coming out right when I started recording this that they've had private, virtual visits with a lot of these offensive linemen, and then setting more meetings up. So guys like Andrew Thomas, so they could be interested in that route. That's really not surprising. But a team like the Jets trying to identify what their biggest need is. And it's tough. You can argue receiver, you can argue offense line, you really can argue pass rusher as well because that defense is really good, but they're missing the most important thing on a defense. That's pass rush. So that pass rush could just make that defense elite. So what they do, trade back, gain another pick, so they can kind of focus on all 3 of those if they can. And the Eagles are itching to come up. That's the news, and I understand why. They're really liking CeeDee Lamb, and who wouldn't? CeeDee Lamb in that offense would be huge, absolutely huge. So the Eagles come up. I would look out for them trying to target that 10 or 11 spot if the teams, maybe even 9. Maybe the Jags aren't interested in C.J. Henderson. Maybe they want to trade back. So that 9, 10, 11 spot, watch out for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then a wild card spot would be 13 to come up to get CeeDee Lamb there. So that's what they do, and then we see the trade details. They get 11th overall, and then the Jets get a decent haul of picks here. They get the 21st overall, so move back 10 spots. They're going to get the Eagles' second round. They're also going to get the Eagles' second round next year. So Eagles give up a bit, but worth it when you're going for the best receiver in the class and a receiver that's really going to make that team that much better. So the Jets move back. Now they can target their even huge needs. And the Jets are a team that right now nobody views them as a winner, but if they can get those impact players at offensive line, at receiver, and at pass rusher, not just some of them, that team's a quick turnaround. So that's why this makes sense to me, but it's also very realistic they stay put and take one of those offensive linemen because when are they going to have the chance to do that? So back and forth on what I think the Jets will do here. That's one of those teams where really, really back and forth on that. But the Eagles do want to move up, so they take CeeDee Lamb. The Raiders then take Jeudy, the Alabama receiver. definitely, there's Mayock coming out saying we really need a receiver. We know that, but you don't draft off need. You draft best player available, which I'm on board with Mayock, but I think it's a little bit of a smoke because receivers at the 12 position are probably going to be best available. They're going to be well worth the value of that pick. So it's a little bit of a mind game Mayock's playing. Like it, love it. Jeudy there, 12. Henry Ruggs to the Niners. The Niners, it's go big or go home at the receiver because they have a list of young receivers as long as they're healthy. Key word there. But you want that big time receiver up here. There's no point to grabbing one in the 5th round wherever you may be down there. So you take Henry Ruggs. You get the speed on the outside. It's different than Deebo Samuel. You got two shifty guys pretty fast, a lot different. Deebo Samuel going to be a lot of, he can do it all, really, and so can Ruggs, but Deebo's going to be more the underneath guy, more of the strength in his game. Ruggs going to be that outside, that new school outside receiver with the speed, the threat downfield. So the Niners add that. So another Dante Pettis, even though they're different body types, so that definitely helps them there. So 3 receivers off the board. Buccaneers get Andrew Thomas. Thomas could go earlier in this. The order of the receivers and the offensive tackle is going to be very interesting how they come off the board. But the Bucs grab Andrew Thomas here at 14 to get protection for Tom Brady. The Broncos take Justin Jefferson, an interesting spot. Justin Jefferson's kind of climbing up boards. Perfect slot receiver inside of Cortland Sutton would be epic there for Drew Lock. So they take, they may be a little more interested in one of those top 3 receivers. They may want to trade up, but is it worth it when you can get a guy not too far off in Justin Jefferson? But interesting spot because they could take a corner. And they could take a tackle. You still got Mekhi Becton on the board here, so that is very interesting. So that's something sneaky to watch out for there. The Broncos are a team I can see trading up, like I said, with the receivers, or even trading back because it worked so well for them last year, and you got some guys you can still target in the middle or back end of the 1st round. And then you got the Cardinals who traded back from 8 to 16, and that's why I love this trade for the Cardinals, and because they still get their guy in Tristan Wirfs, which the Bucs can take him, but there's still going to be a lineman here. So they still get Tristan Wirfs, plug and play right tackle for them. Cardinals get better while gaining the pick here at 16. So now we see the next set of picks here with more trades. And then we got the Vikings at the top. This is actually originally a Cowboys selection, so 17 and 22 swap. The Vikings see Mekhi Becton kind of slipping. Not a lot of buzz about Becton. He could potentially go to the Giants all the way up 4, but a lot of the buzz right now is saying that Wills is the best tackle in the class, and that teams are starting to get a little higher on a guy like Andrew Thomas, so he could go before Becton. So Becton only fits the amount of teams he fits is what the problem is here. But the teams that like to run the ball and throw the ball to the running back in the backfield really like him. So the Vikings won't want to risk the Dolphins picking before them because the Dolphins still hold their 18th pick. So they move up with the Cowboys. Cowboys looking, actually have more needs than we once would think. So they move back, gain some more picks. The Vikings get Mekhi Becton, who actually slides a little bit for their left tackle spot there at 17. So we see the trade details here for the Vikings and the Cowboys, and that would be 17th for 22, and then the Cowboys would also add a 3rd and a 4th round pick, so they collect some picks there. The Vikings already have a decent amount of picks heading into this draft because of the Diggs trade. So the Vikings finally are able to get a top tier tackle when they have the opportunity, and they have to take it because it's been a struggle to find one or even be able being in the kind of the driver's seat to take one. So the Vikings will get Becton. Because of the threat of the Dolphins. The Dolphins take Josh Jones, a tackle from Houston, who I think will be the 5th tackle off the board, even though some people starting to throw some other names out there. The Raiders, I think the Raiders will be very interested in Jalen Johnson. He seems to be thinking that they're interested in him too. The physical corner from Utah, one of the sure tacklers too, because you see tackling is kind of a problem for a lot of these good corners that are still good. But so they take Johnson there at 19. So the Raiders added Jeudy and Jalen Johnson in this draft. But I would definitely look out. Not one you see a lot, but I would look out for Johnson there at 19 for the Raiders. The Jags take Ross Blacklock, so they got their corner now. They get the interior defense lineman. This is kind of going to be that Calais Campbell replacement, a guy that I think is going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback from the interior part of the defensive line there. So they take Blacklock 20. We saw the Jets trade back, which they can definitely be interested in offense line receiver up there. But like I said, they need a big-time pass rusher. Why? Because that defense is looking good. The D-line, the interior defense line, the safety group, the inside linebacker group at a big-time pass rusher to this defense, and we may be talking elite defense, and then you gain picks so you can target the receiver on the offensive line in the second round, both of them. So this made a lot of sense to me. So they get Chase on in that Greg Williams defense, and they gain picks while at it. The Cowboys move back and still get the corner they like, Christian Fulton from LSU. I think a safe pick. Not going to wow a lot, but a safe pick here for the Cowboys. And the Patriots, a lot of buzz that they will be targeting a quarterback. They are in on a quarterback. Just where is the question? If you hear that they're in and you trust the source, they're in on a quarterback. To me, they're not messing around with no mid-round quarterback. To me, that tells me it's first or second round. They don't have a second-round pick either. So this could be a trade-back spot. Couldn't really find a partner here. Jordan Love is still there. And Jordan Love's probably the ultimate prospect I'm back and forth on because you hate the inaccuracy, underneath, the short throws that are simple you should make. He consistently misses them. But there's just so many jaw-dropping, wow plays. I think he has more than a guy like Justin Herbert, really, that in some arm talent, some ridiculous plays that – you just can't coach, and you shouldn't be able to make. A Utah State quarterback should not be able to make. So the turnovers and the underneath accuracy will bother the Patriots. Maybe that would be a reason to pass. But maybe too good to pass considering he's a quarterback with upside here at 23. Saints take Kenneth Murray. I like him for their outside linebacker spot. A guy that's going to be heavily involved in the run game, but will actually get you some pressure too, which the Saints want to provide from their linebacker position. That's what they're looking to gain from their linebacker position, something they've been lacking, even though they've had some good linebackers. So they add Murray in there, and that kind of, they were after a guy like Jamie Collins in free agency, so this is kind of one that I would prefer actually over that, so that's kind of a win situation for the Saints. And then we go to the back end of the first round. We see the Vikings pick again. Jalen Reagor, Denzel Mims, or a corner. I think they would prefer Reagor here. Rager's their type of receiver. You saw Diggs was a speedy, deep threat. That's exactly what Reagor is. But the Vikings also need to be able to do some underneath throws to the receiver, maybe in the backfield. A lot of end arounds. That's what they like to do, and that's Reagor, and that's why I think they'll like him. I think they'll be more interested in a corner like Damon Arnett, who they can target in the second round. They may have to trade up for that, though. That's the only question. Do they trade up again? So I think they'll be interested in a guy like Jalen Reagor here. And the Browns traded way back, gained another first-round pick next year, and then get their guy Ezra Cleveland from Boise State to today's type of tackle. What's working in today's NFL? That shifty, athletic tackle, and they need that left tackle because they got Conklin for right in free agency. So it makes sense that would fit. You see Stefanski coming in there. And what worked for the Vikings for offensive lineman was really the only offensive lineman that's worked for them is Brian O'Neill, who was kind of that raw but very athletic type that can stay with those fast, athletic edge rushers. So that could be interesting to them. So that's why it makes sense. What's kind of makes me not want to do this is because it's just coming out there that they're trading back. One thing if they want to trade back, in which I believe they do, because I've heard there's been multiple calls. I think that's why the Odell Beckham Jr. trades came about, because people knew they were in trade calls and people instantly want to go to Beckham, which is not the case. But they were in trade calls with teams preparing for the NFL draft here, which is coming right up. So that makes sense. But the reason why I almost don't want to do Cleveland here is because you don't come out and say we're trading back and we're going after this guy, everybody. So that makes it kind of look a little smoky. But there's so much of it that makes sense and some that doesn't. So it's very interesting. Seahawks fans are probably getting bored because I keep mocking Cesar Ruiz to them. I haven't heard anything linking to them, but it just makes too much sense to me. It's a great fit. I think they play him at center. I think they play Finney at guard. I think that's the most important need, even though pass rush is as well. Just keep Russell Wilson protected, which is key because they got the guy in his prime. He could be the best quarterback, the best player in football at any given time, and it's not a shocker whatsoever, obviously. So keep that alive. Keep that alive here. And what do the Seahawks love to do, though? They like to pound the football. They like to pound the rock. And they can continue to do that even at a better level with Cesar Ruiz, who does that at a high level. So it makes too much sense to me. Ravens take Jordan Brooks. A little bit of a wild card here, but I'm hearing a lot of buzz that I trust that Jordan Brooks is a sneaky late first-round pick. Not really connected to the Ravens, but he is a sneaky late first-round pick. Why? Because he's a dominant run defender already, and he is ready to come in and be that. And the rest can be coached. but at the same time, a little more complex for him in that Texas Tech defense. Too much responsibility, a lot of responsibility. It'll be simplified for him, not because it has to, because it will be by default in the NFL. So a lot of upside here for Texas Tech linebacker, but also going to make an impact in today's game in terms of a run defender. So I'm linking him to the Ravens. I think it's a Don Martindale guy. They need inside linebackers bad. They need guys that can stop the run. They blitz a lot too from the inside, so they ask that their edge rushers kind of drop back in coverage more than your typical 3-4 team. So they won't need him as cut in coverage as much. So I really like him in that defense. I really do. So the buzz, I'm kind of linking that buzz, first round buzz, to making sense, and it could make sense with the Ravens. So I'd watch out for him. Apparently teams have Brooks. A lot of teams have Brooks number 2 overall linebacker on their board after Isaiah Simmons, so ahead of Murray, ahead of Queen. So very interesting. Titans are doing a lot of homework on cornerbacks, and it makes sense. They do have 2 studs out there, Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson, both in which got hurt last year, and Malcolm Butler may not be, at the top of his game for super long because, a veteran, and then, the injuries mainly, and then he's pretty pricey for the future, so they may look to move on. So they need a cornerback bad. Trevon Diggs is this is one of my favorite players in the draft. Trevon Diggs is, he's not even saying mine. This guy is the second best cornerback in the draft. I watched the tape. The numbers check out as well. Trevon Diggs can straight play, and he has a ton of upside too. So the Titans will not be able to pass on a guy like this right here. And then you talk about, then you got these 3 corners. Who do you play? Really, somebody can slide in the slot as well because they did lose Logan Ryan. So this will make the defense a lot better, and they'll create more turnovers because of it. So the Packers, Denzel Mims falls right in the Packers' lap. This would be A+ for the Packers, but you see very realistic. I think teams will be split on him. There's some teams that really, really like him at the top, some teams that feel more comfortable down here, maybe an early second. I like Denzel Mims a lot. It's going to be big time for Aaron Rodgers in that Packers offense. So no hesitation. They take him at 30. Couple corners come off the board. Niners take A.J. Terrell, which I think will be better in their scheme. Their cover 3, that they like their corners to get a little physical at times, but a lot of man coverage for Clemson with A.J. Terrell. And kind of the weakness for Terrell is he can be physical, and he is physical, but sometimes he get out physicaled by some better receivers, and we saw that stand out big time against Jamar Chase. The problem, and everyone said, well, everybody got beat by Jamar Chase, and that's true. That is true. The guy's an animal. But what stuck out was him just getting out physicaled by a receiver, and there's going to be a bunch of other receivers like that. But he can be physical. He can press, but he's really good in coverage. So put him in the Niners. Cover 3 scheme there. Cover 3 defense makes a lot of sense to me. So they take Terrell, and the Chiefs get their corner in Jeff Gladney, who can play outside and the slot. Can be more physical than he's getting credit for, I think. Not afraid to come up and tackle either. Pretty instinctive too. So I think the Chiefs will like him. So that is my first round mock with trades. Just sticking with the first round for this video because we got a lot to get to. More mock drafts on the way as well. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this mock. We're going to be live April 23rd right here on YouTube covering the first round of the NFL draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. So please join us for that. Right here on YouTube, and then follow our Twitter for the remainder of rounds. Constantly be talking on there, interacting with everybody, and just nonstop football action as we speak on that Twitter. Link down below for that. That's going to do it for this one, though. Click that like button. Give me your mocks, whether it's on Twitter or in the comments section. We really appreciate seeing those. A lot of content still in the works, still on the way, and the draft is almost here. Cannot wait. So thanks, everyone, for watching. That's going to do it. Goodbye.